What is going on, guys? Welcome to this week's episode of the Nerd Crew podcast. There is an echo. Oh, I know there's an echo. Give me a second. Is that better? That's better. There we go. Sorry about that. That was my fault. Let me get repositioned here. There we go. All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome to That's the Only Way Our Final Episode Could Go.
Of course.
That's the only way our final episode could go. It has to end like that. But welcome back to the Nerd Crew podcast. Yes, this is our final episode as the Nerd Crew podcast. So that's kind of what the title is talking about, because technically we're in the Endgame now.
We are.
For multiple reasons, which we were going to talk about. We're going to jump into heavily. This is a very heavy Avengers Endgame, because that's the only thing we're talking about, because
of course.
We're 2 days out. We are officially 2 days out from Avengers Endgame. Actually, this time in 2 days, you will be watching Avengers Endgame as we speak. Unfortunately, I have to wait until 9:40 to go see mine. So no spoilers, please, on Twitter or anything. Please don't tweet at me, because I will punch you right in the face. So there's a lot we got to talk about today. There's a lot we got to jump into. But before we jump into anything, as always, I am joined by the Groot to my Rocket. Since you're so much taller than I am, that's kind of what we came up with. But the Groot to my Rocket, Jason Lee. Jason, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good. I am, of course, extremely excited. And a little bit stressed out about getting tickets. Well, I already got my tickets, but about securing seats and stuff like that. But no, I'm just beyond excited.
Yeah,
obviously.
I think everything what we've heard so far from people who've seen it already, it's been overwhelmingly positive. Mm-hmm. More so than normal. So there's a lot we're going to jump into. There's a lot we're going to talk about. So bear with us. Talk with us in the chat. Let us know. We're going to ask for some of your predictions for what you think is going to happen in Avengers Endgame. Please, if you've already seen the spoiler leaks, please do not post them in the chat. Don't be that type of person. We want to enjoy it just like you did. So please, no spoilers in the chat when we talk about this. So before we jump into that, though, we're gonna talk about what we are into this week. So Jason, since you kind of have to think about yours a little bit,
take it away.
I'll go ahead and take it away. So I meant to talk about this last week, and I kind of forgot about it. But Game of Thrones, the last season, season 8, is now out, and I binged watched like season 1 through 7 to catch up in time to watch this. Yeah, I did a lot of binge watching recently, so I'm finally caught up. I'm finally ready to go. I've started season 2 or season 8. We're not gonna talk about it. We're not gonna go into spoilers. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's really interesting. Like, I didn't think I would be the type of person to like Game of Thrones, but it's a lot better than what I thought it would be. It's really interesting. The story's great. There's a lot of amazing characters that are in there, so there's a lot to dive into. But yeah, so far it's been good. We're only two episodes in out of an 8-episode season, I think is what it is, something like that. So yeah, there's going to be a lot. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. But yeah, that is what I'm into this week. Jason, what about you? What are you into this week?
So me and my wife started downloading mods for Fallout 4 on the Xbox One, and it's been a whole lot of fun. That's like the newest thing that we've done, but she's actually way more into Fallout 4 than I am, and I really like it, but that's like her thing.
Right.
Is Fallout and Fallout 4.
Yeah.
So she's been downloading a bunch of fun mods for it. We can drive cars around in the world, which you totally can't do in the normal game. You can have more than one companion and a bunch of like texture mods to add more trees and stuff like that, but it's been fun because I don't usually play games with mods, but the mods that we've been playing with have been really enjoyable so far.
Sweet. So yeah, that sounds like a lot of. I've only played like one of the Fallouts. My brother-in-law loves them. Like, he loves them. So I always watched him play, but I never really played. But that's a game I need to start getting into and kind of look into more.
I played through Fallout New Vegas, and that's definitely my favorite one. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah. So that's what we're into this week. So yeah, next week we're gonna go ahead and talk about next week. What's gonna happen next week? So next week, we may even do it at the end of our episode. We'll have to wait and see. But sometime between now and next week, you're gonna find out what our new rebranded name is. You're gonna see our logo later on because it's not quite finished yet. It's almost there. But you're going to see our new logo coming out very soon. We might share the name of it at the end of the podcast.
Maybe
we might. It depends on how good everybody is. If you behave, then we'll share it with you. But no, yeah, we're rebranding. We're restarting. We decided it would be best to do our first episode as our new name with Avengers Endgame, because that's the only way you could start it, with ending this game and starting a new one. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. But next week with our Avengers Endgame review, we are going to do, in honor of the movie, bear with us, we are going to do a 3-hour special of Avengers Endgame. So we are going to dissect the crap out of this movie. We're going to spend all of our time talking about it. We're not going to talk about what we're into this week, because obviously what we're into next week is Avengers Endgame. There's nothing that's going to compare to it. I've already bought my tickets for Thursday night, my tickets for Saturday night, my tickets for Monday night, and I'm going to go see it again Friday in the afternoon. So I'm planning on seeing it 4 times before next Tuesday. So hopefully I'll be able to really dissect and dive into things. So we're looking forward to that. So 3-hour episode next week. We'll announce it again at the end of the podcast and at the end of the live stream, just to kind of reiterate it and let everybody know what's going on. But yeah, we're going to be in the end game for a while next week.
We will.
But we're very excited about it. We're looking forward to it. Also, this week, 2 videos are coming out tomorrow. And then our final video of our MCU character breakdown series is coming out Thursday. And if you'd like to know who that is, you can look at our podcast set. If you're a live streamer, you can look and see very closely, and you could probably figure it out pretty quickly there's a few little details in there, but you'll be able to figure it out. So yeah, that's coming out Thursday. And then we have 2 more coming out tomorrow. So if you aren't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe before we name change, and then otherwise you'll be really confused as to what's going on after that. So Be ready for that. So are you ready to dive in? Are you ready to talk about Avengers Endgame?
Absolutely.
All right. So we haven't seen it yet, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't. Well, you haven't seen any of the spoilers. Unfortunately, I've seen one little thing, so I'm going to try to stay away from that. So we're going to give our final predictions for Avengers Endgame. We're going to talk about what we think is going to happen. We're going to kind of give our final push, what we think is going to happen, what we don't think is going to happen, where we might even go after Avengers Endgame, the future of the MCU after that. Kevin Feige came out this week and said that Phase 4 doesn't start till after Spider-Man Far From Home. So Spider-Man Far From Home ends Phase 3, which is very interesting because they're not going to be able to announce Phase 4 movies until after that movie comes out. So they're going to just lump it with kind of like the ending on a good note, hopefully, depending on what happens in Avengers Endgame. So yeah, that's the end of Phase 3, Phase 4 starting after that. So we'll talk about what we think is going to happen in Phase 4, what direction we think they're going to go. We're going to give our final predictions. We want you to give us your final predictions, whether in the chat with us, or if you're listening to the audio of this, just kind of in the comments down below, or tweet at us or whatever. But we want to know your predictions. We want to know your thoughts on the movie. We want to know what you think is going to happen later on. So, Jason, I'm just going to kind of ask you, we're going to talk about reviews. We're going to talk about everything. We're diving deep into Avengers Endgame. We are pre-gaming extremely hard for this.
Absolutely.
This is kind of like our workout. We're drinking our pre-workout stuff. You know, that massive jug. We're going to finish that today. So,
yeah.
Jason, what are some of your, if you want to start with reviews, wherever you want to start with predictions, or wherever you want to start with? It's a loaded question.
Yeah, it definitely is. I have no idea where to start, to be completely honest.
Let's start with reviews. Let's start with both what reviews have looked like so far, because everything we've talked, we were sending for probably a good hour today. We were sending reviews back and forth at each other, like, this is what they're saying, this is what they're saying. We've been looking at it. So let's start with some of the reviews, some of the positive and negative reviews, because there's been one I think we've read negative review. One was not necessarily negative, just kind of not fully positive.
Right. No, it's one that's not outright super positive out of like 50.
Which you're expected that. Like, it's not going to be, and it's not going to be for everybody.
Right.
You know. So I'll go ahead and we can go ahead and read that tweet because it was a tweet. Let me see if I can find it. Pull it up here real quick because it's saved in my photo. There we go. All right. It's from John Campia. Do you know who that is? Mm-hmm. Okay. I have no idea who that is. Avengers Endgame, a mediocre first 2 hours that's equal part cool, moments and problematic moments that ends with a final hour that's an absolutely magnificent geek wet dream. Need to see it again tomorrow to solidify my thoughts. So.
Yeah, and that's the only one out of like 50 that we read that wasn't outright positive.
Right.
But still, of course, there are so many reviews that we read that were just like, this is the movie that we've waited for.
Yep.
This is the one that's lived up to the hype.
The payoff for this movie that people have said is ridiculous.
Right.
Like, it's better than what anybody's thought.
Right.
So that's that's the only thing we've really hoped for is like we're going in with our expectations. Obviously, of course, we're going in with our expectations. But we fully I don't know. It's weird. I have my expectations, but I kind of fully expect my expectations to be exceeded, in a weird way.
And that's what so many people have said so far is that their expectations have been
exceeded.
Exceeded.
Yeah. Which is I'm very positive about. Like I'm very excited about. I think it's going to be awesome. Just from what little we know of like the first, because everybody said like the trailer and the TV spots and the promotional stuff, everything has only been within the first 15 to 20 minutes of the film. Mm-hmm. There's a few I think there's a few third act parts in there, but like barely. Like it's just like a quick, like it doesn't give you anything. So there's a lot of stuff like that's in there. But the main meat of it is like the first 15 to 20 minutes. So after that, we have no idea what to really expect from their first attempt and then things like that. So, I don't know. It's like it honestly feels like Christmas Eve. Like it feels like we're like right on the cusp of seeing it, which I'm so excited about. But like all the reviews have been positive. They've been everybody's saying like it's emotional. I've never laughed. Like one review said, I've never laughed so hard. I've never cried so much. Like I've never just felt all of these emotions in a movie before. So I'm, I fully expected all of those things, but like I don't really, I don't think we'll really realize like the weight of it until we are actually in the film, mm-hmm. And actually like watching the movie. So yeah, it's going to be crazy to see what's actually like going to unfold in front of our eyes. Mm-hmm. So yeah. What predictions? What other stuff? What do you think? What could you see happening from what we've seen in the Marvel Studios premiere live stream last night when Gwyneth Paltrow may have said something she probably shouldn't have, which we're not going to really talk about. Plus some of the other surprising actors and actresses that were there, which was very shocking to both of us. So, what are some of your predictions that you have?
Oh well. Some of the people that we saw last night at the Endgame premiere, Natalie Portman, who played Jane Foster in the first two Thor movies, we haven't seen her in ages.
Right.
And a lot of different people show up to premieres, and a lot of different people get their pictures taken at premieres, but that opens a possibility for Jane Foster to return in some capacity.
And they even
in this movie.
They even interviewed her, mm-hmm. which makes me think that she might be in it. The only thing I can think of is maybe since this is the culmination of the first massive part of the MCU, the Infinity Saga, maybe they invited everybody who has been a part. Maybe they invited them to the premiere. But I could fully see her being a part of this film because when I saw that, I immediately texted you. Was like, wait, is Natalie Portman in the movie?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I don't really know. So yeah, that's one of the people that might be in it. What else? What other stuff do you have?
Taika Waititi, who directed Thor Ragnarok, was also there, and he voiced Korg in Thor Ragnarok, the Rock Monster. So it's likely that he could return as well, since we know that Valkyrie will be returning. Mm-hmm. She was on the Chinese poster. She's been in a few different things since then, a few different promotional things, but. It's highly likely that Korg could be back, Korg and Meek. Yeah. But yeah, it was a really interesting live stream.
I don't the one thing that Gwyneth Paltrow said kind of freaked everybody out. Mm-hmm. Were you there? Did you watch it when she said it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I won't say anything, but I really because after that people were tweeting out was she supposed to say that, and a lot of in-depth Marvel guys were yeah, no, she probably wasn't. They cut her off really quick after she said that, so I don't think she was really supposed to say that, which is all good. So, I don't know. I don't know if I want to see Jane Foster in it. Actually, I know I don't want to see Jane Foster in it. She's one of those characters I really don't care about. And then obviously, like, Korg, I want to see because I think that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
I think Meek would be. Is it Meek? Korg and Meek? Yeah, I think they would be great. Obviously, I think we're going to see Valkyrie. Obviously, we're going to see a lot of, like, we're going to see I forget his name, the little boy from Iron Man 3. What was his name? Harley, yeah. I think, we'll see him.
Which he was listed on IMDb, so that's not a confirmation, but it's a possibility.
Right. I think there's going to be a lot of, like, surprise pop up. Like, I think we're going to get a lot of, like, oh crap, Red Skull moments in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is going to be awesome because I know, like, that was one of the biggest reactions in my movie theater was when Red Skull popped up. Everybody was like, we had the reaction of, like, holy crap, it's him, and then people were like, who's that? It's like, yeah, well, nope, you haven't watched all of them. So that's what predictions do you have for the movie itself, though? What do you think? What is your final push? Do you think is going to happen?
Oh man,
I want it all right here.
Yeah, I don't know how far I want to go into predictions, just because of potential spoiler territory. Things that have been hinted at. If Captain America lifts Mjolnir, which of course right now Mjolnir is destroyed, but there are going to be a lot of crazy things that happen in this movie, and you have a glove that controls every element of the universe, so a lot of crazy stuff could happen. If Captain America picks up Mjolnir, that will be an amazing moment, for sure. Beyond that, I mean, I really like the white suits. A lot of people have been talking about maybe they're used to go into the quantum realm. People have been saying maybe it's Iron Man's nanotech, like that he used in Infinity War, that make up those suits. And then those suits could also be disguises, so they would be kind of like nanotech Iron Man suits that could camouflage. Maybe they have PIM particles in them. You know, there are a lot of different theories about those white suits that I really like. But if they're used to journey through the quantum realm, that would be really fun to watch. Yeah.
So some of the things that we've seen from, like, TV spots recently, because I was frantically searching for one before we started recording to, like, show you it, because I knew I saw it. I knew I wasn't crazy. But in one of the TV spots, so this isn't a spoiler. One of the TV spots, it shows Thanos, like, 1v1 in Cap.
Well, kind of. It frames it that way.
Right. Which Marvel loves to frame things, so
the more exciting part of it, which if Captain America went 1v1 toe-to-toe with Thanos in the movie, that would be incredible.
Yes.
We've already seen Tony Stark and Doctor Strange do that, but my favorite thing about that is seeing, which we've seen several times in the teasers and stuff, is Thanos' double-edged sword. I think that's really cool, and I think it's a really cool, like, sort of metaphor for his obsession with balancing the universe and different things like that. He gave Gamora a dagger, that was a two-sided dagger.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's really cool. Like, I love the way that they link storytelling and they link kind of like the mythos of everything together.
And in one of the shots, you see the Chitauri Leviathan. Like, you see two of them, I think.
Yeah.
And then you see the two ships that had the Outriders in them. So it looks like some crap's going down.
Yeah.
Wherever they're at.
Two different alien armies.
Coming together. Yep. So it's going to be absolutely insane to see that. I'm a huge fan of the two, like the double-edged sword. I think that's awesome. I want to see the Thanos helicopter in this movie. Please give us the Thanos copter.
Thanos copter.
That would be
Maybe
great.
Maybe the double-edged sword is a reference to the Thanos copter.
He just holds it over his head.
He just spins it around the top of his head.
I'd love it. Listen, I would be all for it.
Yeah.
Like, I would be all for it.
You underestimate my power.
Yeah. And he starts fighting. That would be great. No, I really think, like, the fights in this movie, I think, are going to be absolutely epic. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see a lot of, like, 1v1s again. I think we're going to see Thanos versus Hulk again, because we have to. Thanos versus Cap. Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
One thing that's very interesting to me, and I want to kind of get your take on it, and people in the chat. Okay, so there's another YouTube channel that I watch called New Rockstars.
Mm-hmm.
And they did another, like, breakdown of Infinity War, but, like, from the opposite side of looking at Thanos as the hero and Thor as the villain of the film, which is really cool. Go check it out. But they did say it's really interesting how every single Avenger had a run-in with Thanos except for Rocket. What if Rocket was avoiding Thanos because maybe Thanos was the one that created him? And we get that in this movie. We get to see a nod to that in this film.
That's interesting because we know that Thanos created Nebula, and every time she lost a battle to Gamora, he would replace a part of her with machinery.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that would be a very slim possibility, and I think that the reasons that Rocket avoided Thanos in Infinity War were like, because I want to go with Thor to build this awesome new weapon.
Right.
And things like that.
But even in, the Battle of Wakanda, he was nowhere. Like, Groot was there, everybody was there except for Rocket and Thor. But Thor was off destroying every ship he could see. So I don't know, it's very, because, I think it's very interesting that, they have built up, they built up Rocket not knowing, Rocket's creator. We don't know who created Rocket. We know somebody did because he's talked about it several times. And so I think that's kind of a way they're going for Guardians 3. I think it would be so interesting, though, if Thanos was the one that created him. And he was a runaway child of Thanos. I think that would be so interesting, especially going into Guardians 3 or stories after that. I think that would just add another dimension to Rocket's character, which I love how much he's already how much depth he already has as a character because he's a freaking raccoon that talks.
Oh yeah,
and he's got so much depth.
He's one of my favorite characters.
Exactly,
the whole thing, and seeing him standing with the rest of the Avengers in different shots in the trailers and stuff is so exciting to me.
Yeah,
and just seeing him interact with different people because it's how far, and this is something I do want to talk about, but how far we've come.
Yes,
from Tony Stark building and I know that the marketing has referenced all this different stuff, but it's still amazing to me. Tony Stark, building his first Iron Man suit, breaking out of that cave, getting rescued, coming back to America, and then we get teases of the Avengers. In Iron Man 2, we were freaking out when we saw a replica of Cap's shield.
Yeah.
Agent Coulson holds this up, and we're like, holy crap, man, what if Captain America existed in this universe?
Yeah.
Now, in Infinity War, we're to the point where Thanos is going around collecting the Infinity Stones. He 1v1s Tony Stark in Tony's nanotech armor after throwing a moon at him with the gauntlet after fighting Spider-Man, who was owned by Sony back then, jumping through Doctor Strange's portals, assisted by the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just
and then he goes to Earth to fight Hulk, Bruce Banner and the Hulkbuster, Black Panther, Okoye, Winter Soldier, Black Widow, Groot, who's a tree,
War
Machine, Falcon, and then Scarlet Witch and Vision, and then you have Thor. And it's
and people are invested in all of these
every single one of them.
All of these franchises pulled together. People are asking, where is Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Where is Hawkeye, the guy with a bow and arrow?
The one who's the butt of everybody's joke for a long time.
Right. I think I watched this video recently by Shafferlass Productions that my brother sent to me. And it's just, we take the MCU for granted. And I totally, absolutely agree with it. Even though I talk about it all the time, of course, and we talk about it on this podcast all the time. I think that people take the ingenuity and the complexity of it because it's flawed, of course.
Right.
There are flaws in the MCU.
Right.
That people talk about a lot. But people, also talk about just the incredible strategy that they've gone about it, the incredible things that they've achieved in blockbuster storytelling. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
How far we've come and the level of investment that everybody has.
Right. And it's not even what's so amazing about this is these movies have made investments out of kids to adults in their 50s and 60s.
Oh yeah.
It's a wide range of, it's not trying to fit one demographic. It's fitting everybody. To where if you're a fan of the old school superhero, you've got it. If you're a fan of space stuff, you've got it. If you're a fan of everything, you've got it in the MCU. Think about it. In Iron Man, who would have thought we would get to the point where Ant-Man would be one of the coolest superheroes in the world? Ant-Man. Or Groot, a talking tree, or a rocket raccoon, a freaking raccoon, or somebody that looks like a mantis, but she was important in Infinity War, like she had a role in Infinity War. So it's like all of these characters who should, on paper, should not work at all, completely fit and completely work, and it's so weird. Like we've come such a long way in 11 years that it's like. It's baffling to me because I've been doing my MCU, I've been doing the rewatch in chronological order from however, I forget how many days ago now, because they're all starting to run together. But it's amazing how much the MCU changed, not just from then to now, but how much it changed from before the first Avengers movie to after the first Avengers movie. The coolest, the most dramatically, the most, I'm trying to think, drastic change. There we go. To me, is from Captain America in his first movie to his second movie.
Yeah.
The moment when Cap freaking kicked the dude off the ship in the first 30 seconds of the movie and drop kicked the crap out of this dude and he went neck first into the ship and then fell over, I sat back in the chair and went, we're dealing with a new Cap. We're dealing with somebody completely different. He's seen some stuff. He's gone through some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's so, who would have thought we would have gotten that, they made Captain America, who in the comics is such a one-dimensional character. At times he's one of the most boring characters in the comics. To somebody who is a soldier, but not only a soldier, a leader who is apparently against his own country now, has no home, nothing. But yeah, he's still one of the coolest people out there. It works so well. So yeah, we've gone through so much in the first 11 years of the MCU.
And from where he was in Winter Soldier to where he was in Civil War to in Infinity War, where he started out as somebody who only wanted to follow orders. He wanted to be part of this system. He wanted to fight for his country. And now, he's completely burnt out on that by the end of Civil War. And in Infinity War, he's literally just a runaway from the government.
Yeah.
Just going by his own code because he's grown into being a leader. And he's grown into being somebody who plants himself in his own, code.
Yeah.
And his own values.
And it's crazy because in theory, Iron Man should be the leader. Iron Man should be he's the one paying for everything. He's the one that's got all the cool tech. He's all that. But yeah, it was so cool. In the first Avengers movie, after they do one of the most iconic shots in all of the MCU of the 6 Avengers in a circle, they do that pan shot. Then Tony calls out to Cap and he says, Cap, call it. And so right then and there, Cap's the leader. Cap's calling out everything.
And they're really just both leaders with two distinct styles of leadership.
Right.
And it's really interesting to see them kind of defer to one another.
Yeah.
Depending on the situation.
Yeah. Gump says Cap has matured in ways most people won't see.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. You have to go back and watch his progression through each movie.
Right. Because the first Captain America movie is good. It's good. It sets him up. But that type of Cap wouldn't have fit in the MCU. You know what I mean? He was such a one-dimensional, boring character at that time. Mm-hmm. But he had to be. He had to be to fit in. Into that style of movie.
Right. Each except for Iron Man, except for Tony Stark, it was interesting right out of the gate. All those origin movies before Avengers, just put the character out there, set them up. This is who they are. They beat the villain.
They go home.
Get on to Avengers, and then in Avengers you get to see all their chemistry, which is awesome. Thor doesn't really come into his own until Ragnarok. Cap really comes into his own in Winter Soldier.
Iron Man stays the same.
He really.
But he doesn't need a whole lot of change. That's the thing.
He still is the central presence of the entire thing, and he is definitely, easily the most consistent character.
Right.
While Cap has had a really beautiful progression, I'd say Tony is really just the Rock.
Yeah.
In terms of how he progresses, you can go back and watch each movie featuring him or about him, and something about him is different.
Mm-hmm.
Something with him changes each time, and he grows as a person.
Yep.
And that's really, in a more broad statement, it's really, that's the strength of the MCU, is that they're able to deliver all of this insane action. Thanos can throw a moon at a planet, at a guy in a metal suit. He's just like, yeet,
Yeah.
just pulls a moon out of space. But it's still grounded in engaging characters who are constantly changing and developing, and who are consistent, taken on by different directors, different people, but because they're grounded by their actors, because they're grounded by Kevin Feige and like the overall direction of the narrative, they're kept fresh while remaining the same.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's amazing.
And you kind of like you kind of pointed out with by just saying his name. Kevin Feige is ridiculously good at his job. Because one, he gives the director of each movie freedom to tell what story they want to tell.
More so now than ever. They've really
Right.
gotten better and better at that.
Right. And I get it with like the first few movies. You kind of want to tell this story just to kind of set everything up. You don't want everybody to go off crazy, because then you end up with a Justice League movie that's not good. You end up with you get your origin stories out of the way. You just get them out of the way. You get to the Avengers movie. I feel like Joss Whedon was allowed to do a lot of stuff with the Avengers movie. Like, I know he wanted Ant-Man and Wasp in it, and he didn't get that. But like, that's whatever. So Kevin Feige lets all of these directors do what they want, but yet he's like, you can do whatever you want, just hit these things. And when they make sure that these things like fit into the story, they're not just like, oh yeah, hey, we're part of the MCU, but we're still telling our own story over here. It's like, no, they're finding ways to like perfectly weave everything together to where it makes sense.
Right.
Which is why Kevin Feige is so important, because he's mapped this all out. And he's hit every single point, and he's told this massive story over 11 years, over 22 movies, and it would be so easy to, like, halfway through, it all just kind of start to crumble and fall apart.
Right.
But he's done so much detail to everything that it's working, and it's staying, and it's fitting, and it's crazy, because the MCU in theory should not work at all. Like, Star Wars worked, but they only released one movie. Every 2 or 3 years?
Well, the gap between trilogies has been pretty large.
Right, but even in the trilogy, like, it was 2-3 years before they released?
Yeah, about 2 years.
So, like, the MCU, they're releasing 3 movies a year. Right?
Sometimes,
2 to 3 movies a year. And they're not losing anybody's interest. Like, everybody is, like, staying on focus to where I truly think after Endgame, like, I think some people are going to fall off because the story's over. But I think if they end, the way they end it could continue our intrigue, like our interest and our intrigue, to where it's like they just told that epic story, but now they're starting to go in this direction as well. Where are they going to, like, where is this going to lead? So I really think they're going to keep. I think they're going to keep our interest, because Kevin Feige's mapped this whole thing out. I think he said he's already mapped out phase 4 and 5. Like around that, he's got his general ideas of what he wants, which is crazy. Yeah. Like, it's crazy that he's already planned 5 phases in, and like we're almost done with phase 3. So it's crazy to me that they're doing that.
Absolutely.
And another thing that's like super interesting to me is like they can tell these character story arcs over 3 movies. So like we used with Cap, like he changed so much from First Avenger to Winter Soldier, then he changed so much from Winter Soldier to Civil War, and then he changed so much from Civil War to Infinity War. But then they come in with Thanos, and they make him the most interesting, compelling villain in the MCU in one movie. Like, in one movie. Yeah, we kind of had a general idea of him, but like combined, we only saw him for like a minute and a half, like 2 minutes altogether. Right,
and we had no emotional gateway
to
his character. He was just like, oh, this is a guy, and he's going to do some pretty crazy stuff, and that's all that we knew about him before Infinity War.
But then the first 15 minutes of the movie, he wrecks Thor, he wrecks Hulk, he takes out half of Asgard, he kills Loki, and has got 2 Infinity Stones, and you're going, holy crap. Like, this is getting intense. Really, yeah.
Yeah, and then we get his relationship with Gamora.
Yeah.
We get that emotional gateway into his character, and it just makes him, all the more engaging. He's not just some, like, big, unstoppable alien. He's somebody with logic.
And he has a true and he has a story he's following. It's not world domination. It's I'm trying to save everyone by taking out half of everyone.
He doesn't want to kill the Avengers.
Right.
He just wants them to get out of his way.
Right. And that's so compelling. Like that's so because like even even Loki was like he didn't want to kill everyone.
Right.
Like he killed a bunch of people, but he didn't want to kill everyone. He just wanted to rule Earth, which is a cliche, but he kind of went at it a different way. Than like I'm gonna rule the world by taking everyone out. Like that's not how he really went about it. And then Ultron was just like I want to kill the Avengers. Like Ultron was dumb. But then Thanos comes along and is like, no, I'm trying to save the universe. Like I'm trying to save everybody. And like he's like, and he's the only one. I love the line when him and Gamora are talking, and it's like, basically he was like, I'm the only one that knows on it. Like I'm the only one that knows this, or I'm the only one with the will to act on it. So I really am impressed with how they handled Thanos in one movie, but then they can take someone like Thor and like Cap and even the Hulk, even through like the Avengers trilogy, which if you want to know the breakdown of the Hulk, go check out Jason's video on our channel. Cheap plug. But even Black Widow and Hawkeye and some of these other smaller characters through these other movies have become so interesting and compelling. Like Vision was he was cool in Age of Ultron. Like when he first showed up, he was cool. Civil War, he was kind of like, I wasn't a huge fan in Civil War. And then Infinity War, he didn't do a whole lot, but still, like you still had emotional investment in him.
Well, and still, even with Vision, who's a side character who's probably gotten like under 30 minutes of screen time tops between 3 movies.
Right.
Because that's just how these movies work, and they've got a ton of supporting characters, and it works because you're putting a comic book onto screen, and people already know kind of how the movies function. Vision hasn't gotten a whole lot of screen time, but you've seen him develop from just this like idealistic robot, really, in Age of Ultron, who's just really powerful, basically like is the reason that they beat Ultron and stuff. You see his relationship with Scarlet Witch start in Civil War. You see him make a big mistake in Civil War. He miscalculates. He almost kills War Machine.
Right.
To Infinity War, he has really like come into his own as a being, as a person. Him and Wanda are living together off in Scotland, and he's willing to sacrifice himself. He's willing to sacrifice himself to restore the Mind Stone and to save everybody. And it's like, wow, I understand kind of how this android person works over 30 minutes of screen time.
Right.
And his and Scarlet Witch relationship, and it's not like the greatest written thing of all time, but it's like we know what it is. It serves its purpose. Right. And when she has to sacrifice him, it's pretty...
It's heartbreaking. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Yeah. Because the one thing that the MCU doesn't do very well is their romance. Yeah. Like, Tony and Pepper, perfect. Steve and Peggy, perfect. Bruce and Natasha, not at all. Yeah. Wanda and Vision seem to me, I know it's from the comics, I know they're together in the comics as well. To me, it just seems so weird. Like, it still doesn't really fit all that well.
I mean, Peter Quill and Gamora is fantastic.
Yeah, Thor and Jane Foster didn't work. Bruce Banner and Betty Ross did not work. I'm trying to think of all the other...
It kind of just depends on the strength of the movie, too.
Right. Like, Hawkeye and his family. Cool. I love it. That's awesome. That makes sense. It's cool. It just feels like some of it, they're like, hey, we've got a guy and a girl. We should throw them together. And it's like, you don't have... Like, I'm so glad Captain Marvel didn't try to go like a romance story. Yeah. Because I don't think that would have fit very well.
Yeah, it would have dragged it down.
And what's so cool about Thor, though, is like they tried to start off with Thor and Jane Foster. But then they quickly realized, like, nobody cares about Jane Foster, but everyone loves Loki. So then they went with the brother route of, like, these two brothers are complete opposites, but yet they love each other. And so, like, you can see that in basically every movie they've been in together. You can see that they actually, like, truly love each other to where, like, when Odin dies in Ragnarok, like, they're both kind of heartbroken by it. In Infinity War, when Loki goes to say son of Odin, like Odin's son, he like pauses for a second and makes eye contact with Thor.
When they're both in that elevator together, on Sakaar.
Right,
and he's like, you think I should stay here? Yeah, this place is perfect for you. You'd love it.
Yeah.
And Loki's just kind of like, do I actually want to do that? But he looks kind of like upset by the idea of
not being with Thor.
Brother
yeah,
and it's like,
and like how
this
many
is weird.
And like how many times has
awesome.
Thor after Loki's died said we mourned for you?
Right.
Like I've cried for you several times because I thought you were dead.
Mm-hmm.
And Thor's even I love you, bro. I love you. You're crazy. You're trying to kill everybody.
And that's the strength of it. Is having so many well done characters with interesting motivations.
Right.
With fantastic personalities. Everyone's kind of got a different sense of humor. And you just mingle them together, especially in big Avengers movies where you've got a whole bunch of different people. But the strength of the MCU is in the characters. It's not in the spectacular heroics, which are great. And obviously so much of the action is just incredible. But that's not why it resonates with people. So that's what I'm most excited to see going into Endgame. I know there are going to be incredible battles, and I obviously can't wait for that. If Captain America 1v1s Thanos, I cannot wait for that, of course. But I'm even more excited to see what's going to happen with these characters, how they're going to deal with the loss, what's going to get them back into the fight. I'm super excited to see Thanos because he's won, he's completed his goal. Where does he go from here?
Right.
I'm excited to see Tony and Nebula's chemistry. I'm excited to see Cap and Rocket's chemistry.
I'm excited to see Rocket and Ant-Man.
Rocket and Ant-Man.
I think that's going to be dope.
What's going on with Hawkeye and Black Widow? I'm excited to see that.
Rocket and War Machine. There's going to be so many different combinations in this movie, but I think each and every one of them are going to work. Thor and Rocket kind of stole, besides Thanos, the second best chemistry on the screen was Thor and Rocket.
Right.
Those two together was they were great. I still love the scene of you realize you're in space and you're trying to start this star and you're just a person, and then he throws the ship around and then Rocket's oh, okay, you're that person.
Right.
So I love their chemistry. So I really feel we're going to see a lot of different dynamics in this movie. I want to see how Captain Marvel and Thor work together. I feel they're going to be great. I want to see how the two captains work together. I want to see how Captain Marvel and Natasha work. There's a lot of different aspects that they can go with this.
Bruce Banner and the Hulk. What the heck is going on
there? Yeah. I think that's something people forget. It's the Hulk didn't even show up because he didn't want to get beat up anymore. So what's he going to do in this movie?
It's frustrating, but it makes sense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you were the Hulk and you just got your butt handed to you by Thanos, I don't think you'd want to come back out.
Right. When really the Hulk doesn't lose.
He just spent 2 years on Sakaar, wrecking everybody. Wrecking everybody. And then all of a sudden, Thanos shows up, and in a minute and a half, knocks you out, and, beats the crap out of you. I would go home. I would take my ball and go home and not show up anymore.
He even beat Thor, because of the Grandmaster intervening in the contest, but he even beat Thor.
Yeah.
He beat, this giant wolf guy at the end of Ragnarok.
Yeah, pretty quickly, too, and, easy. It was insane. We have a few comments here in the chat. Nico said, a New World Nerd said, come one, come all, step through the emotional gateway. I think we're going to get there. I think it's like
in the Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't really know about that, but there's a gateway in Order of the Phoenix that I envision stepping through, going into Endgame.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
I already told him I've got my catheter and my tissues ready because I know I'm going to need both. Gump said, Nico, you missed Jason saying yeet. He's learning next step is ya yeet.
Everyone missed that.
So
that's okay.
We'll clip it. Don't worry, we'll clip it. I love that elevator scene. So much complexity in that scene.
Yeah, in Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm. New World Nerd said, I thought the world of you, Loki. That was a genuine moment between the two of them.
Totally.
Of they're by themselves, they're wrecking a whole bunch of people while they're doing it, but they're by themselves, and he's I thought the world of you, Loki. And then they go back and forth, and then all of a sudden they do the let's get help. they completely changed gears, but it worked. It worked.
Get help! My brother's dying.
Gump says, really sounds like Ronda Rousey in the UFC. Hulk does sound a lot like Ronda. Do you know about Ronda Rousey? What happened to her? Okay.
That's like
she's undefeated. She gets the crap beat out of her, and then she doesn't show back up for a long time. Like that's the Hulk. That's who the Hulk is. Yeah, undefeated, loses 2 matches.
Becky Lynch is Thanos.
Huh?
And then Becky Lynch is Thanos.
Well, now in the WWE, but Becky Lynch
WWE.
Yeah, this was in UFC.
Oh, okay.
But she did get beat in WWE, so that's a good point too, because now she's not there anymore. But she's going off to make babies. She's trying to make a family, so that's why she's going. But no, Ronda Rousey, Hulk is like Ronda Rousey, got beat up, didn't show back up, didn't want to show back up. Makes a whole lot of sense. So while we're still talking, chat, let us know in the chat what some of your predictions are for Avengers Endgame. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear what you think. Please, if you've already seen spoilers, please don't put spoilers in there, because I will find you. I will kill you. I have a special set of skills. Liam. I will snap you away. So yeah, please.
You'll be taken.
You'll be just once. I'm not doing 3 because the other 2 suck. Or is there 4?
I have no idea.
I think there was either 3 or 4, but they should have stopped after 1, because 1 was good, and then after that it got bad. Anyways, guys, why hasn't Liam Neeson showed up in the MCU yet?
That's a good question. He could play a lot of...
we've seen Sylvester Stallone. We've seen...
tons of people.
Vin Diesel, Michael Keaton.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Kate Blanchett. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah,
Michael Douglas.
Where is Liam Neeson?
Where is Liam Neeson?
Where is he? He needs
who could Liam Neeson
Liam Neeson could be like old man Logan.
Fan cast. No. I'm retracting fan cast.
He could be Kronos. He could be Kronos.
Andy isn't allowed to fan cast anymore. But if you have an idea...
I'm not the one that said John Cena as the Thing. I don't want that.
I didn't say that. I just told it to you because I thought it was dumb.
No, I
didn't. I totally did not say that.
I don't want to see that.
Totally.
Liam
Neeson.
Nico said, prediction, I'm going to cry. Yep, I'm going to cry too. It's going to be rough. Gump said, where's Arnold? Why hasn't Arnold been in the MCU either?
Oh, yeah. I thought he was talking about a different Arnold.
No.
Yeah.
Get to the chopper. Like that Arnold.
Get to the spaceship. That's what we got. We should get Mark Hamill, too.
Yes.
I saw a very long time ago some guy wanted Mark Hamill to play Adam Warlock, and I was like, you know what?
Do it.
That sounds amazing.
Do it.
Totally do that, please.
Please.
There have already been talks of Mark Hamill appearing in Volume 3. That was back before James Gunn got fired and then reinstated. As
Adam
Warlock, maybe.
Oh, I was going to say Luke Skywalker just pops up.
Yeah. And then people will be like, Disney's just taking over the world. They just own everything.
Obviously, they do own everything. They own your soul.
But as long as they're making Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, then
it's all good.
Fine.
Yeah. There's no problem with that. Do you have any other predictions or anything else that you want? What are some things that you want to see happen in the MCU? Or not in the MCU, in Avengers Endgame?
Ant-Man is a character very near and dear to my heart. And Ant-Man and the Wasp just made him into...
Look like an idiot.
The dumb loser dad who didn't really do anything at all that was competent, because they just need to make the Wasp look hyper-competent, which I'm not I don't have a grudge against the Wasp. I thought she was cool in that movie. And I'm excited to see her again. But you don't have to frame Scott as a total moron to make Hope
look smart.
Look cool, but that's what they did.
Yeah.
So... I'm very excited for competent Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Because in Ant-Man, which I really like that film, and in Civil War, he was competent. And he used his skills well and in a positive way, and it was exciting. The things that he did was exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't wait for an Endgame for him to be a competent contributing part of what's happening, especially since the stakes are so high, and it's who gives a crap about Ant-Man? Same thing with Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And with Rocket. All of these super underdog characters, Black Widow, who you would think have nothing to contribute compared to Hulk and Thor and Captain Marvel. It's I can't wait for them to have moments to really shine.
Right, and what we've seen from like TV spots and trailers so far, it seems like Ant-Man is more competent now than he was in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah,
which we both talked about this. Like they kind of buried Ant-Man a little bit just to kind of put over the Wasp.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's her first movie. It's her first time being the Wasp. Like, you want to make her look cool. I get it. I totally get it.
I do wish they had been a more dynamic team that played more off each other's strengths instead of being like, here's the Wasp. She's super epic. So
she's smart. She can do all that.
Yeah. A little bit in the back seat, and we're just going to... But that's not how it should be. It should be... They're a more dynamic team and play off each other's strengths. Right,
and we kind of get that a little bit more towards the end.
We get it a little bit,
but not a whole lot, like not at all. Mm-hmm. And like they really made him look dumb. Like they really made I felt bad for him because it was like you have because we didn't know what was going on. Like all this stuff they kept talking about, I was sitting there like They just throw quantum in front of everything, and then he made the joke of like, "You guys just put quantum in front of everything," and it's like, "Well, yeah, we do."
He wasn't terrible or anything.
No,
it's a movie that I'm like really just like lukewarm on.
Yeah, I went back and watched it recently, and it's not that bad. Like it's not as bad as I remembered it, but it's not like it didn't move up any either. The biggest issue I had with it is like it showed everything in the trailer. Like it showed. The only thing it didn't show was the bad guy turned by what's his name, Goliath.
Bill Foster.
Bill Foster. Thank you.
It showed all of the stakes in the movie in the trailer too.
Yeah, it did.
Like there were just no emotional or personal stakes at all.
Yeah, and so it just kind of fell flat.
Even small scale movies like Spider-Man: Homecoming and the first Ant-Man can deliver those stakes. Or even mostly a comedy like Thor Ragnarok still deliver emotional, personal stakes that are really engaging, but Ant-Man and the Wasp had like none of that.
Well, you didn't know the MCU doesn't have stakes? Like none of the movies have stakes at all?
Right. Oh, wow. I've been so blind this entire time.
Like Civil War had 0 stakes in it at all.
Of course, just because they weren't trying to kill each other and rip each other's heads off.
Infinity War had no stakes.
Infinity War had no stakes. Because Spider-Man's going to come back, so.
But you don't know who you're going to lose in the process. That's
right.
That's the biggest thing.
And because Tony Stark's feelings don't matter.
Right. Yeah. Gump said in the chat.
etc.
Yeah. Gump said in the chat. We'll try that again. Gump said in the chat. Yeah, they need to redeem Ant-Man. He still can be funny. Just needs to put in work.
Yeah, no, and he was a perfect blend of that in Ant-Man and in Civil War.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, man, Ant-Man is freaking awesome. I love this character.
Who made Ant-Man cool?
Right. But Ant-Man and the Wasp was just like not that.
It was a step forward for the Wasp. It was like 5 steps back for Ant-Man. Ant-Man took a lot of steps back from this movie. So you want to see some big things from Ant-Man. Actually, you want to see some big things from all the minor-ish characters. Not big things, but you want to see some screen time from them.
There's a lot of things that I want in a 3-hour movie.
Give them to us.
I want redemption for Hulk.
Yeah.
But I totally think we're going to get that. Hulk's going to be freaking awesome in this movie. I can smell it already. It's
Morgan Freeman.
I just want... Thor was already amazing in Infinity War, and he's not someone that I'm dying to see more of, but I do want to see more of Thor. More of Cap, of course, but the Russo brothers obviously have a plan with Cap since they've had him since Winter Soldier. They really know what they're doing with him. Same with Tony. They've had him since Civil War. They've, of course, got a plan for him. I'm really intrigued by what Thanos is going to do. Black Widow desperately needs some time to do something.
Yeah.
Hawkeye, of course. I think Hawkeye is just going to be amazing. I think that's already a done deal.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see a lot of Rocket's chemistry with everybody. I want to see him be a contributing member. Rhodey really needs something to do, just like Black Widow. And I think that him kind of losing his legs was kind of like an emotional inlet to his character. Because previously he was just like Iron Man's buddy,
Yeah.
Who is slightly less cool than Iron Man, but he has a shoulder mountain cannon, so that was pretty awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
But now he really has something for his character with losing his legs. So I do kind of want to see that come into play for him so that he can overcome that. I want to see a little bit of that. Nebula, of course, will contributed in the comics a whole lot to this storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that her relationship with Thanos is going to come into play, so she's not really someone I'm worried about too much. And Captain Marvel, who I'm definitely excited to see more of because her origin movie I was not too hot on, but I am super excited to see her chemistry with
everyone else. Yeah. Which is, I didn't really realize when we were talking about this before, but like Brie Larson had to shoot Avengers Endgame before she shot Captain Marvel. So like, she didn't really know what direction her character was even in, like going into this movie, which is really interesting. But from what we've seen from the end credit scene of Captain Marvel to the TV spot that we've seen to the scene that they released, she seems to know like what she's doing. Like she seemed to kind of fit in really well. Because she wasn't like, which was a really cool line of like, and it kind of gives how dope the Avengers actually are. Because like the scene, which isn't a spoiler because it was released on Good Morning America or something like that. But Rhodey was like, where have you been this whole time? And she was like, not every planet is lucky to have you guys to protect it. Because you got to remember, like, the Chitauri have like destroyed almost every world they've been on. Like with Thanos under Thanos, they have destroyed like a crap ton of worlds. They come to Earth and they get the crap beat out of them by the Avengers. Like the Avengers beat the crap out of them, to where like it wasn't even like a close fight. And the only reason why Tony almost died was because he about died. Like he almost like died in space. Like you know what I mean? Which I'm not one of those people saying that there was no stakes because there was a nuke flying into the freaking city getting ready to blow them up. Which I consider a stake, but like I do think like they beat the Chitauri pretty easily, like for the most part, especially when like the Hulk showed up and like when the Hulk showed up, it just kind of all changed because you had that scene of like them wrecking everybody, which was really cool. So like Captain Marvel's like, yeah, you guys are here to protect the Earth. I got to go everywhere else and protect everybody else. Like it's just me by myself. So I think that's really, really cool that they like that. I think she's going to do a crap ton of stuff in this movie. Like I think she is going to be sort of redeem herself from her origin movie. Like I loved her origin movie. We've talked about this. One of the reasons why I loved it is because it pissed everybody else off. But that's totally another reason. But I do think Brie Larson did a fantastic job in the movie. Like with what she was given, she did the best that she could. She portrayed Carol Danvers and Captain Marvel really, really well. She did a whole lot of stuff. Like I thought she did a great job. So I'm very excited to see her interact with everyone else. I want to see how they end off the 6 original characters. Like that's like the number one thing on my mind is like not necessarily death wise. Like I just want to see how they close this chapter of like. Does Tony get to have his happy ever after, or does he die? Does Cap get his happy ever after, or does he die? Does Thor get to finally rule Asgard with no complications at all? Yeah. Does Bruce and Hulk finally have like a working relationship to where they can like they're both together and they're both in control and they're both working together? Can Black Widow finally get the red out of her ledger? Can Hawkeye, some help with his family? Things like I want to see how they close off. Because I feel like Hawkeye's tried to retire for like 6 movies now. Yeah. Like he's been trying to retire for a while, but they keep bringing him back. But I just want to see how they end off the original 6. I don't think everybody else around them is safe. Like I think we're going to lose a couple other key pieces, which I'll read Gump's comment here in a second. But I do think it's going to be, because everything we've read so far is going to be a perfect close off for the original 6. Like the payoff for the past 11 years is going to be amazing to see. Like I'm so excited for that. To the point where we're 2 days out and I don't even know if I comprehend what I'm getting ready to go see in 2 days. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's to that level of like, honestly, I have no idea what the heck they're going to do. Like I have no idea where they're going to go. And that's what's so exciting to me is like most of the time you go into these movies, like Civil War, we kind of knew the precedence of what's going to happen because of the comic and because of like stuff that we'd seen. in Infinity War, we kind of knew what was going to happen. Like, I didn't think the snap was going to happen, but like we knew Thanos is trying to get all the stones. Like that's the premise. This one, how the heck are they going to do everything they need to do in 3 hours? Like it's going to be absolutely insane, insane to see. Gump said, "I think Nebula's vengeance will get her killed." I could see that.
I don't know. I could see that maybe happening, but I think that they've kept her around for a reason. Karen Gillan was under the impression she was just going to die in the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that, Nebula could die. I think if she were to die, it would be definitely in a heroic way. Less of like, oh, I just want revenge, and more of like a heroic sacrifice.
Because
that's just kind of what I see. Since she's had a redemptive arc.
Yeah, and like even in Infinity War, like Thanos when he captured her was like she snuck on board to kill me, and she nearly killed me. Like she got very close. So I could see her. I think we'll get a Thanos like Nebula 1v1, and I think that might be where she parries, like she dies.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's another thing I didn't realize till just now that I want to see, like the conversation between the two of them.
Right.
Of like Gamora was always your favorite. You treated me like crap. Like. And we got a little bit of that in Infinity War, but not a whole lot. So yeah, that'll be very, very interesting to see as well. I like I said, I want to see how they close off the original 6. I want to see what they do with Thanos afterwards. If they kill him off or if they leave him. I really hope they leave him.
Yeah, me too.
Stay alive, Thanos. Stay alive. We're Team Thanos, so stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how they set up I want to see how they set up the future of the MCU, which we'll talk about here in a second, of what direction we think they could go with some of the movies they've already confirmed for Phase 4, some things like that. So I'm excited to see where they go with that. I want to see if they introduce a new villain. I want to see if the final fight is going to be absolutely epic, I think. Like, I want to see a shot. And I haven't seen I haven't seen this, like, these spoilers, so I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, because I haven't seen that, like, any of the leaks except for one thing, but it's not this, I promise you. I would love to see a shot with every single one of the Avengers, the original 6, the Guardians, everyone who was dusted away, standing in a row to fight Thanos. Like, I want to see that epic of I want to see all of them together.
Absolutely.
Like, I think that would literally send chills. Because that's what everybody's been wanting to see is everybody, like, we got them together in this movie, but they were split up. Like they were each on different, like you had some on Earth, you had some going off on a different mission, you had some on Earth, and you had some on Titan. So like they were split up, but I think we all want to see everyone together, like, fight. Like, I want to see everyone together alive who was dusted, like everybody come together and just try to beat the crap out of Thanos. Mm-hmm. And it would be awesome if he wrecked every single one of them.
It would. Because he does have a whole army.
Right.
But if it was just kind of him at the center with his entire army and just like an entire legion of heroes that we've had for this entire time, like, that's perfect. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then, like, at some point you get the break off of Thor, Cap, and Tony with Thanos. So, like, you get those, like, all of them fighting together. Like, that is so good. Like, just thinking about it sent chills up my spine. Like, just like, sent chills. So that would be absolutely amazing. Gum said, a 1v1, that'd be awesome. Oh my god, I was just typing that. I just popped a nerd boner. All right. I think we all did. That's ridiculous. Like, thinking about that seeing that would be awesome. Mm-hmm. It would kind of be like the equivalent of, like, all the Avengers, the Guardians, Fantastic Four, and the X-Men all coming together. Like, that would be really dope to see. I don't think we're ever going to see that. But this would be kind of like the same thing. Like, all of these MCU characters come together for one threat. I think that would be awesome to see. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of anything else that I, like, not spoiler-wise, prediction-wise. There's what I'm looking for.
I don't know. I mean, there's just not a whole lot of room to predict.
Right. Like, it's weird. I hope they don't, like, destroy the Infinity Stones after this. Mm-hmm. I kind of hope they keep them around.
Maybe even just one of them, too.
Yeah.
Maybe just the Time Stone. Because with the Time Stone, you can go back and get the rest.
Right.
So, I don't know.
I heard another theory that'd be really cool if when Shuri was working on Vision, if when she saw that like people were getting attacked and she started to hurry, if she downloaded Vision's AI into like the thing at Wakanda. So like he's still around, but he's just not in his like body form.
I mean, kind of, he would just be Jarvis again.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't have the Mind Stone.
Right. So that would be cool.
Interesting.
But I don't want to get rid of Friday either, because I like Friday too. So like I like them all.
You know what I want to see? Dummy from the first Iron Man movie. He was the robot with just a claw.
Yes. That would be dope. I'm all for it.
I want, obviously the MCU has been so good at fan service, but I think there's a really big opportunity here to do some like big fan service things. Because it's just been such an insane ride, and you have so many people invested. They can do fan service in the MCU like no other film franchise can do. Right. And I totally expect to see that, and a lot of the early reactions said that was a
big thing. Part of it. Yeah. Which I think we both have said that this is going to be a nostalgia heavy movie, which it should be. Which I think is going to be absolutely awesome to see. I don't know. Like, there's so much to this movie I want to see, but like I know it's going to like everything I say. I could be completely wrong, but whatever they do is going to be even better than what I thought of. Like it's one of those things. So I think that's going to do it for our prediction side of what we think is going to happen in Avengers Endgame. But I do want to hear what you have to say about where you think the MCU is going to go after Endgame. Phase 4 and on. What do you think happens?
I don't know. I think this is a discussion we've had many a time. I already know I've talked about I expect Norman Osborn to come in and to be a big factor. And he's obviously going to be a completely different type of villain than Thanos. If Galactus was coming in instead of Norman Osborn, then he would kind of be just like a similar big cosmic space entity that wants to like do something with universal consequences. But if it's just on Earth, if it's just Norman Osborn kind of filling the shoes that the Avengers leave behind, then that would be awesome. And it would also put Spider-Man right in the center of things that are happening on Earth. So that's a big thing that I expect. A lot of cosmic things I expect to happen, such as the Eternals.
Which I'm very excited for the Eternals. Like, I think the Eternals movie will be really, really good.
I expect whatever Endgame has to offer is going to have big consequences
for the
afterwards.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see what those are.
Yeah. I heard that there's a possibility of, which we haven't seen Endgame, so we don't know anything that happens to this character. But possibility of like a Thor 4. There possibly could be a Thor 4.
Right.
Which would be cool. I mean, we just got a brand new version of Thor that's actually awesome. So like ride the wave of momentum with it, I guess.
It would, but even if Thor, potentially saying if Thor survives, and if he ends up making a new Asgard, which we don't know about, but if they're also doing Norman Osborn, which we also don't know about, that sets up for Dark Avengers, and after that it sets up for Siege.
Yep.
Where Norman Osborn attacks Asgard, that would be amazing. And of course, we don't know if Thor survives Endgame. Right. We don't know if Norman Osborn is coming into play, but there are a lot of different things that you can pull from that are super exciting.
Yep.
So where they're going after this, I mean, they've kept it.
They've kept it really close to the chest. A Thor 4 would be dope. I think, especially if they went that way. I've talked about this before. I think it'd be awesome if we had we kind of split everybody up again to where it's you have the Dark Avengers on Earth, but then you also have the Illuminati, and then you have SWORD. I think that's what they're called. In space with Captain Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy and Nova. If you wanted to bring in Nova, there's a whole bunch of people you could use for this. That would be really cool. And so I think that would be if they kind of split everybody up. SWORD went off and fought Galactus or somebody, and then on Earth you had Norman Osborn, and then that set up Siege, and then from there you can introduce Doctor Doom, and I saw another one that'd be really cool if the ruins of Sokovia became
Latveria. Wow.
Which would be dope. Like, that would be awesome. And so then all of a sudden you've got Doctor Doom, who is both an Earth threat, but also like a universal threat, which could like bring in Fantastic Four. And by that time you may even have the X-Men, and like you have all these different like massive characters you can bring in for this massive, another like an Avengers massive movie that you could do, which would be really cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'd be cool. Gum said, yeah, they're in talks, and they're looking at the director of Ragnarok, Taika Waititi, because he got Thor perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, he got Thor perfectly, so that'd be dope to see.
He's a mess.
Gum's video said, give us Nova, and then he said, Andy, stop. Why do I have to stop?
Both correct.
Why do I have to stop?
I don't know.
I
agree about Nova.
Tell me why I have to stop. Nova would be dope. I gotcha. But no, like that would be really cool, because I feel like that's a direction they could go with, of like, hey, you guys go do this, we're gonna do this. Oh crap, there's somebody that's trying to get us all like come back together. I think that would be really, really cool to see. So there's not a whole lot to say. We talked about this movie since we started the podcast. Like the whole reason why we wanted to start this podcast was basically for this movie. We wanted to talk about like this movie, everything else. Like this is the whole reason for this channel. For these type of movies, for the Star Wars movies. If DC ever gets their act together for like the massive DC movies.
Yeah.
Even like the Detective Pikachu crap, like that stuff is so intriguing to like both of us that like, we just want to talk about it. So that's the whole reason why we wanted to like start this entire channel and podcast, everything else.
This is the movie.
Yeah.
Like, this is the movie that I know so many people have waited for, obviously.
This is the whole reason for our existence.
But it is.
Like,
it is
really
the whole
is.
reason for our podcast. If this movie didn't exist, then we wouldn't be here talking about the movie.
Right.
or a whole lot of other movies and other things.
Right. Which, I mean, we've always wanted, like, I know I've always wanted an outlet of, like, I could finally talk about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, this has given us the opportunity to do that, which is we're so grateful for, and this is awesome. But it's time to close a chapter. Mm-hmm. It's time to close the Nerd Crew chapter. So this is the final episode for the Nerd Crew podcast. It's very sad, very depressing. Do you think we should reveal the new name, or do you think we should wait?
Let's wait.
Let's wait
until next week when we do our Endgame episode. We'll have it all ready, up and running, and it'll be very exciting to kind of switch over to a different branding. Not a whole lot of other things will switch beyond that, but we do plan on branching out into other projects. We plan on doing a lot of other stuff.
So we're looking forward to that next week. If you haven't heard, or if you weren't here for the beginning, next week in honor of Avengers Endgame, we are doing our very first episode as our podcast.
Yeah.
We are doing
a Charlie Brown Parents Sound podcast.
We are doing a 3-hour podcast on Avengers Endgame.
Oh, yeah.
So please be here for the entire thing.
The length of the movie.
We're going to go it all out.
3 hours and 58 seconds.
Yeah, we're going to go all out for it. We're excited about it. We're going to dissect the crap out of this movie. We want you guys to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. We want you guys to be in the chat with us talking about it, because, hey, guess what? At that point, we can all reveal spoilers because we've seen it. So be ready for that. Join us next Tuesday when we do that. Sorry, Gump, I'm not going to reveal I'm not a hooker.
But it looks like we have so much mounting excitement for this rebranding, and that is just what
we are
all about.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about, is the kids back home, watching the podcast and enjoying it.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about. That's what we do it for.
That's what we do it for. We do it for you.
People like
I've already come up with the slogan for the new podcast. Like,
nice.
We've got a lot going on. We may even start selling merch. We may even get some merch going.
Get some Jake Paul
merch. Jake Paul merch rolling up in here. Oh, man. But yeah. Link in bio for our Jake Paul merch. No, we're not doing that. This is our last episode. This is our final episode. We're saying goodbye. We're turning the end of this chapter. This is our end game, but we are starting our phase 2, I guess is what we'll call it, in the future. So from next week on, we will have a different name, a new look, a new everything. We're excited about it. We're branching out. We're going to do new stuff on our YouTube channel, more live streams, more video games.
We'll be different people with a different background,
exactly.
A different country. We'll speak a different language.
Maybe.
Everything will be different.
Maybe.
And it'll be awesome.
Maybe. We'll see. We will see. But yeah, I don't have anything else I'd like. Oh, I do have. This week, on our last week as Nerd Crew, we are putting out 3 videos. 2 are coming out tomorrow, and 1 is coming out Thursday on Avengers Endgame release day. We are finishing up our MCU character breakdown series. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen any of the other ones, go check them out. We've done Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, and upcoming we're doing Hawkeye and Black Widow, and we're doing
Nebula, Rocket, Captain Marvel, Rhodey, and Ant-Man.
All together, and then our final episode on Thursday is a big one. It's an exciting one.
It's about a big lad.
It's about a big lad. Some people might even say he's mad. I don't know.
A mad lad.
A mad lad.
A mad titan.
He's my favorite MCU character. One of my favorite comic book characters of all time.
The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
They do, even though I got that mixed up last time I tried to say that.
You were like, the hardest wills. Wait a minute.
No, that's not right. Something about choices and wills, and something about being hard and strong.
Right.
Well, that could be a lot of things. But I do think that's going to be the end of our podcast today. Thank you guys so much for joining us, whether on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Google Play. Or if you join us on Tuesdays as we live stream our podcast. Remember, next week is a 3-hour podcast. So you better bring your food. You better be fully energized. You better be ready.
Bring my caffeine.
Better bring your caffeine. I don't have class the next day.
I'm just going to be sitting here eating.
Or partying. I may set a TV up right there, play video games while we do it. We're going to go all out. We're going to have a party. If you would like to be a part of our, what did you call it? The death sheet thing?
Oh, yeah, the survival prediction draft.
That one, yeah. If you'd like to be a part of that, I'm posting it tonight on our Twitter. Just get it in by, I'll say for tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll get it by tomorrow. So look for that. We will get you there. You can be a part of it. It'll be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what Gum's talking about. Will I be there in our podcast? Is that what you're talking about? Question mark.
There's a nice little button at the bottom of the chat bar that says "Hide Chat."
Yeah, no, I like talking out loud though. It's fun. I like spilling the beans on everything. It's fun. I lost my train of thought now. What was I plugging? What was I saying?
You were plugging our merch.
We have merch?
Yeah.
Oh, our death sheet thing. Yeah. Look for that. I guess that's what it's called. Survival, is that what you called it?
It's, survival prediction draft.
There we go. I'm going to post that today, so check that out. Look for that. Join it. You have to turn it in by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Unless you've already seen the movie, then you don't count because you're a jerk anyway, so don't do that. I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. Jason, do you have anything else you'd like to add before we go?
I don't, but this is definitely the turning of a new leaf.
It is.
It is. This is kind of the movie experience that was the entire inception of the podcast.
Yes.
So I am super excited for next week.
Next week is going to be a massive week.
Even though I might be too tired to communicate it.
I think I'll be so jacked this weekend to see it. Like I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think that's all we've got. If you want to follow us on Twitter, follow us at the Nerd Crew Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at I'm Andy York. I think that's all the plugs. If you want to email us at nerdcrewpodcast@gmail.com. Gump, we do love you so much. I think that's going to do it. We'll see you guys in the next video.